Welcome to the Project Mom Podcast. I'm your host, Emily Gorey, mom of a sweet baby girl and an ever-evolving entrepreneur. On this show, we will explore the intersection of motherhood and entrepreneurship. We will share stories of moms just like you and me with the goal of fostering community and comfort in knowing that we are not alone in our experiences. Please take a moment to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to ensure you get all the updated episodes and releases. Welcome to today's episode of the Project Mom Podcast. I am so thrilled because I am talking to Miranda Cheney this week. She is a personal branding photographer, and she loves to get to know her clients beyond just what they do, and is a mom to 2 young kids and a wife to her husband of 12 years, which is amazing. I'm going on 5 and it feels miraculous. So congratulations to you and welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
You're welcome. I'm so excited. I shared a bit with you as we kind of got these communications, back and forth, and we got this conversation on the books, that the goal here is to share stories of women as they navigate multiple identities, right? We are moms. We're also business owners. Perhaps we're side hustle enthusiasts right now, right? Just to name a few, there's a lot of identities for us. And you shared with me in your bio when you had sent it over as we prepped for this, that it's really important for you to get to know your clients beyond just what it is that they do, right? Everything that we experience, how we identify, impacts the work that we do. So I so appreciate that approach, and I'm sure your clients do too. So I'm looking forward to diving into this with you because I want to get to know you and what you do and everything that you identify with and experience. So with that, let's perhaps get started with your work. So what exactly does it mean to be a personal branding photographer?
Yeah. So I think every photographer kind of approaches this differently and what they do and how they see personal branding photography. But I believe that personal branding photography is just that, it's personal. It's different for every person. It's different for every business. I believe that even as like photographer to photographer or hairstylist to hairstylist, yeah, we're doing the same thing. We're in the same industries. We have a lot of similarities, but what makes us different? Why choose one hairstylist over another hairstylist, or one coach over another coach, or one realtor over another realtor? And it's because we pick them based on personality or similarities in our lifestyles, anything like that. So really, personal branding photography to me is personal. It's who you are. It's beyond just what you do. We're going to know what you do at a glance. We're going to know what you do from your Instagram, your website immediately, right off the bat. But why you? And that is the story, I believe, of personal branding photography. It's beyond just marketing. It's beyond just those industry standards of marketing, but it's really personal and tells a story of who you are and how you serve or what you bring to your clients.
I love that. I think it's so impactful. I mean, there's that cliche, a picture says 1,000 words. And I had taken some branding photography sessions in the past. And to be honest, they haven't always been what I had hoped for. There's a couple elements to that, right? It's like, did I choose the right photographer? Did I perhaps do the right legwork heading up into it? Did I really think about what I wanted to portray in these photos? So it's so important to have somebody on the other end of the camera believing in that and doing the legwork and helping you communicate your personality and share that with your potential clients.
Yeah. I do think that's a big part of it. Is oftentimes you pick a photographer who does amazing work and beautiful stuff, but maybe it's just not the exact thing that you're looking for. That doesn't make them any less a photographer. That doesn't make it not a good whatever. It just means that our personalities and the visions need to line up.
Yeah.
And that's true for anybody in any industry. I mean, I have very curly hair. And if I'm going to a stylist that only cares about blonding people because that's her passion, it doesn't make sense for me to go there, right? And it's not that she couldn't care. It's not that she wouldn't try to help me, but it's not her passion.
Yeah.
And somebody that maybe enjoys curly hair and enjoys like learning things and teaching people and helping her clients, it makes more sense. We're both looking for that common goal. With, a hairstylist that loves blonding, maybe looking for a happy client, but does she feel the most confident serving a client that's not her passion? Where, you know what I mean?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
that's what we're trying to do, I believe, through personal branding photography is really show people who we are so we can be met with the clients that are within our passion wheelhouse, are within our calling and our alignment to serve well and to serve the best of our ability. It really makes the overall experience the best. It makes the end product the best, the experience the best. All of that is to really line up
Yes.
with somebody that lines up with you.
Yeah, I love that. I think one of the benefits of being an entrepreneur is that you can help steer towards clients that do align with you and you're not
Yes.
kind of backed up against a wall working for somebody else to take on clients that perhaps align with their business vision, but not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily yours. So I
Yeah.
love that. And I feel like your ability to tap into the personalities of the people that you work with also probably makes you a wonderful mom to be patient and understand your children as well. So fill me in a little bit on where this business fit into your motherhood timeline. Was this something that you started prior to your kids, or did it evolve as you were transitioning into motherhood?
Yeah, so it definitely evolved as I was already a mom. My son was born in 2013, and I did not start my business until 2018.
Okay.
My daughter was born in 2016, and that's really when I picked up a camera and just started to explore. And it was really, we lived in California at the time, and we were going to be moving to Spokane, Washington. And so I wasn't working full time anymore. I was full time stay at home mom. And very quickly, I battled postpartum depression with my daughter pretty bad. And this kind of became this outlet for me, this creative way to be something. I always thought when I became a mom, I was like, maybe I just want to be a stay at home mom. And I realized very, very quickly that actually working and doing something for myself and having this purpose outside of motherhood actually made me a better mom.
Yeah.
So when I was drowning in motherhood and didn't feel like this was just it, this was just it. And for some people, that is their purpose. Those stay at home moms that, man, they work so hard. I feel like what they do is like way harder than what I do. It really allowed me to be a better mom, to have something for myself. And so it was kind of born out of that. And I
Yeah.
started in family photography, which is usually where every photographer starts. They just start taking pictures of families or friends or whatever. And it wasn't until 2020 that I really kicked off. Well, in 2019, I started branding, but 2020 was where I really made that shift of going full time into pretty much just personal branding.
Yeah. I love that. I think, I mean, you touched on it. The evolution of the phases that you went through led you to this recognition that to be the best you, you had to find something
Mm-hmm.
outside of just being a stay at home mom. And this project is honestly the start of that for me because I am a full time stay at home mom, but I was looking
Yeah.
for something to add personally into the nooks and crannies of this full time job that lit me up, kind of aligned a little bit more with personal goals that I have. So I really appreciate you touching on that because I think more times than not, most women will recognize that in themselves to some extent. I'm going to jump ahead just a little bit. You mentioned battling postpartum depression with your daughter, and your son was your firstborn. So, how did those experiences differ for you, having your son versus having your daughter? Did postpartum depression show itself in the first pregnancy that you had, or what did the
Yeah.
differences look like for you?
No, I had my son, and I remember he was a terrible newborn. He screamed all the time. And I remember going to that postpartum appointment just being like, he just never stops crying. The doctor being like, are there markers here? Are there things that I should be looking for postpartum? And she was like, I really don't feel that in you. Baby blues are real, but I think you're going to get better. And I did get better. And it wasn't like a long process or anything. With my daughter, everything was different. Everything was very different.
Yeah.
I was in a very dark place. It's very hard. I actually did a whole exhibition on postpartum depression. I shot photos. I don't know if you saw any of that. I guess that's a big piece of my story that sometimes I miss.
Yeah.
And to be really honest, it's because it's a very dark point in my life. But I have shared that. I did a whole show on it. I brought in a therapist and an MD and all of these types of things to sit on a panel and discuss this because I feel like it is not talked about as much. I think
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard for people to understand like what it feels like when you're going through it. It feels like the biggest failure of your life.
Yeah.
Here you are with this brand new baby and everything is supposed to be wonderful and you're just supposed to be so in love with them. And I just looked at her and the thoughts in my head were, what did I do? We were happy with our son. What did I do? How did I mess my life up this bad? I can clearly remember wanting to just walk out the door thinking, they would just probably do better without me. I just want to leave this life. And I watched her in her bouncer one day thinking, what did I do? I brought this new life in and it's just destroyed my life and
Yeah.
destroyed everything that we had. And that was when I was like, I don't think those thoughts are normal. I don't think those thoughts are
Yeah.
normal. And I went to my doctor and I had the baby and I was there for a postpartum. Baby was crying. I was crying. I just could not get myself back.
Yeah.
And my provider at the time was like, this is not normal. How often is this happening? And so that was the first step. And she was like, yes, you were very much struggling with postpartum depression. You know, I went on medication. I did all the things and it just rocked my life and my
Yeah.
motherhood journey drastically.
Was that at your 6 week follow up appointment that you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
It's interesting because you mentioned it in terms of your son, your doctor being like, I think this is just the baby blues. It
Mm-hmm.
should pass. And this one in particular with your daughter was so loud and so obtrusive in your day
Yes.
to day that it was able to be caught. But I think a lot of women miss that appointment or have no follow up afterwards. So to like be able to recognize the thought that you had where it's like, I don't think this is normal is so challenging to do. I think there's such a big miss in the
Exactly.
next handful of months that support can be there.
I do think that's incredible, right? Like, what is our medical system missing? And don't get me wrong, I have a lot of people that work in the medical field that I think are phenomenal
Yeah.
human beings. But I think we go through this massive life change for 9 months. Our hormones, our body, just 9 months, 40 weeks, almost 10 months technically, of this ginormous life change, physically, mentally, emotionally, everything. And then we have this baby, and 6 weeks later, we get one appointment.
Yeah.
We get one appointment. And this baby goes to the doctor every week for the first month or whatever, and then every month
Yes.
for the first year. And it's like, we're just missing this. We're missing
Yeah.
this in women. And more often than not, you're not seeing it at 6 weeks. You're seeing it at month 3, month 4, month 6. And I have had friends that have gone back into their OBGYNs later and they're like, it's probably just situational. And it's like, no, 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 no. This is a real thing. I don't know what that disconnect is. I don't
Yeah.
know how to make that better, but I feel like the moms definitely need more help, more support, more eyes on them, more real life conversations after having a baby because it is
Yeah.
destructive for sure.
Absolutely. And I think too, so I had a similar experience that you did with the birth of my daughter. She's my only child. And probably for the first year of her life, there was this fog that I did not recognize while I was in it. And I distinctly recall coming out of it and being like, holy crap. Like I was in this state of feeling like, well, this is it. This sucks. I don't want to do this, but here I am. This was a choice I made. I can't back out now.
Yep.
And all of those things are so false. I could have made so many different choices if only I saw it. So yeah, there is this absolute disconnect that if only we felt more comfortable talking about it or had more eyes on us from a professional standpoint, whatever that might look like, perhaps even one more woman can get the help that she needs.
Yeah. And oftentimes as mom, people say, how are you doing? And what are you going to say? I mean, you can't say, I hate my life right now. What did I do? Because that sounds like
Awful.
so awful and like you're not thankful. It's a
Yeah.
weird position because you can be thankful and also depressed at the same time. And you can't say, I'm not doing good because
Yeah.
everybody thinks you should just be so blessed to have a baby. And you are blessed.
Yeah.
It's just that something else is going on. And it is a delicate balance between just the newborn fog and the new baby fog versus what is not normal.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think back to that particular experience of mine, and I think people said to me, "Are you okay? Are you doing okay?" Blatantly sat me down and were like, "We don't think you're okay." And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
F you. What do you
Yeah.
mean I'm not okay? You're telling me I'm not okay? Like, who are you? What do you think? I mean, this
Mm-hmm.
is like my family. These are people
Yeah.
that have known me for a very long time. And in my mind, I literally was thinking to myself, you don't know what I'm going through. This might be my find now. And I'm
Yeah.
trying to accept this. Because in my mind, I was like, there's no way out. This is it. I'm
Yeah.
accepting it.
Yeah.
So I look on it now and I chuckle because I'm like, that was my lifeline, but I like couldn't hold on, couldn't grasp onto it. So I feel like I could go through this for hours, but
Yeah.
it's like the hope is that talking about this and putting a little bit of a container, a safe container on this for women to hear these stories can at least help somebody recognize that in themselves from their experiences or they're currently experiencing it. So I appreciate you sharing your
Yeah,
experience
of
with that.
course.
So your support system looked like after your diagnosis with your daughter and your postpartum depression, some medication, some support through perhaps a therapist, or what did that support system and team look like for you as you navigated through this like very thick time in your life?
Yeah. So we were all, my entire family, my mom and dad, and then two of my sisters and myself were in the process of moving to Spokane, Washington from the Central Valley of California.
Okay.
So one of my sisters and my mom were already in Spokane when I gave birth to my daughter. And then from there on. So
Okay.
my family was kind of split. My dad was an hour away from me at the time. We lived an hour away from my parents. And I didn't see a therapist because we were going to be moving. There was just
Yeah.
so much going on. My husband had taken a job where he was traveling about 70% of the year. So I was really alone. And
Mm-hmm.
I just happened to live across the street from this wonderful, beautiful human being that saved my life so many times by just walking through the door and like taking my kids and allowing them to shower, or taking my son to watch a movie while I could nap while the baby napped, or taking them both just so I could have a time. And it really is, all it takes is that one person.
Yeah.
That one person. Yes, big support systems are great. We have multiple people helping you, and that's great. But it really is about that one that really does just show up to be there, to just be there. And I can't tell you how many times she like made us food, brought us food. It didn't matter. She
Yeah.
just was always there at the right time. And she didn't know a lot of what I was going through. She just was just this kind human being that loved my kids and loved me. And then as she got to know more of what I was going through, she really even took it further. But it really
Yeah.
is just allowing that one person to help you. And it does come down to that. Like, we're humans and we feel like we can do it all. And, especially as moms, we can do all the things. But really allowing one person to come in, one person to take some of that stress off of you. And I'm not somebody that can ask for help. It's probably why I struggled even longer, because I don't ask for help a lot.
Yeah.
But she was just so kind and genuine and warm, and she just really stepped up. And she knew I was an hour away from my family. She knew, half of my family was somewhere else, and my husband was gone now, starting this new job. And she just really stepped in there and saved my life probably on multiple occasions.
Yeah. The feelings behind that, it's just so beautiful because you get to a point where asking for help is sometimes almost embarrassing. You're like, I should be able to get this all done. I
Yes.
should be able to get my kids down for a nap. I should be able to shower. I should be able to do all of these things. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the narrative that's pushed to us for so
Yep.
long in
Yep.
films and books and even other friends. I feel like other friends of mine that have kids, you don't see that side of a lot of it. So it's absolutely beautiful to have a soul like that near
Yeah.
you who just steps in maybe almost unknowingly and does some saving. That's beautiful. So
I
no,
definitely think it's important too that when people are saying, hey, let me do this or let me do that, try to take that step back from the pride and the embarrassment. And if somebody says, let me do your laundry, like, I don't care if it's the mother-in-law you don't like, let her do your laundry. Like,
Yeah.
just allow people to help you, allow that help to come. And I think it's hard sometimes because we think like, well, this help would be the best and this help would be the best. When really, when you're in that spot, it doesn't matter how people are helping you. It really doesn't. It's that relief of it's taken care of and I didn't have to do it. So just having that wherewithal to take that step back and be like, you know what? Is this the absolute best way to help me right now? No, but I'm going to take it. I'm going to
Yeah.
take it because it will give you some relief. It will give you some reprieve for sure.
Yes. Yeah. And also the pressure that like everything needs to be done, like that can be removed, right? It's like
Yep.
allowing somebody else just to take on just a little something,
Yes.
take all the pressure off those dishes, that laundry. No one's looking inside your house. You don't even have to look inside your house. Just don't look at the kitchen. That was
And
me for
you
a
know
while.
what? I've heard a lot of women, they're like, they just want to hold the baby. Let them hold the baby, sister. Like, let them hold the baby. Take your shower. Take that long shower.
Yes.
Brush your teeth. Put on clean clothes. Let them hold the baby. You know, like, I feel like sometimes we just get so stuck in that too of like
Yeah.
exactly what would help. And I get it because when I was in that mode, I was like, this would help me. This would help me. This would help me. And I didn't even really realize that by her just walking through the door, that's all I needed. It
Yeah.
wasn't even that she was doing X, Y, Z. She wasn't hitting these benchmarks that I thought I had. She was
Mm,
just around
yeah.
and it helped.
There's definitely something to be said for company
Mm-hmm.
also, and
Yes.
not being by yourself with this baby who needs you for everything and being needed. There is something to be said for somebody just even to sit there with you, to chat with you,
Yeah.
to
Have a cup of
have a cup
coffee.
of coffee with.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yes.
absolutely something to be said for that. So, yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. And so, in terms of where you picked up the camera in this journey, so did you wait until you moved up to Washington to
No.
start this, or was this
Yeah.
something that gave you a little bit of light as you were
Yes,
coming out
it
of it?
did. Yeah.
I
Yeah, for
love that.
sure. My mom had left for Spokane already and I asked her, she had I thought what I thought was just like the best camera at the time, you know. And I was like, Mom,
Yeah.
can you leave that behind? So like we have it and she's born to take beautiful pictures and stuff. She's like, oh, of course. And it was the Rebel. And I mean, compared to my cameras now, it's not anything super fancy, but it got the job done and it allowed me to play and explore and learn so much on. And that's kind of where I started
Yeah.
taking fun pictures of my daughter, dressing her up, little things like that, her and her brother. And it just really kind of gave me a fun creative outlet and to look at my kids in a different perspective, not just as their mom, but as like an artist trying to find their little beauties and their little things about them. And it really did just help. It was a therapy in itself for sure.
I love that. Oh, I absolutely love that. I feel like, I mean, I look back on the photos that we had taken when my daughter was born, and she looks like a completely different human
Yeah.
being. Now, I mean, her personality is loud and
Yeah.
clear. And then when we look at those photos, she's just this tiny little nugget. So being able to capture that and capture it for yourself on a regular basis was probably a very unique and therapeutic process,
Yes.
I
Yes.
imagine.
I have like 37,000 photos on my phone. And it is literally from my son's third birthday party, which was a week before my daughter was born till now. I don't get rid of them. I just can't bring myself to do it because they're so special.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love that. I want to dive in a little bit more to your work. So
Yeah.
you mentioned in the bio to me that you travel to see some of your clients. Do you only travel or do you have like local clients as well? And then did you always know that that was something that you would be willing to do?
Yeah. My husband traveled for his job for about 60 to 70% of the year, our
Yeah.
entire marriage. So up until year 11, when he started his own business and now he's home. Travel was never on my radar because it would be impossible. I had two little kids. My husband was at home to help. There was just no way I could do it.
Yep.
And then I kind of started to travel a little bit before he came home officially, but I really wanted to grow in that area. So I started in 2020. 2020 was my year that I had my biggest year ever in business. And then 2021 was bigger, but that was like really a mile marker for me.
Yeah.
I worked throughout COVID. As soon as like some of the slight restrictions were lifted, I never let COVID like slow me down from traveling or anything like that. I just believed that that was what I was supposed to be doing and I went for it. And so 2020 and 2021, I've traveled more than I have ever in my entire life.
Wow, that's amazing.
And I love it. So yes, I do have local clients. The majority of my membership clients are local. And then I have travel clients as well. And I travel kind of all over the Western Hemisphere, California, Wyoming, Boise, Idaho, just kind of wherever the clients are.
Yeah, I love that. I also really appreciate the energy around not quite letting the pandemic stop you from still fulfilling this light for you. I'd love to talk a little bit about this shift for you into now that your husband was back home or planning on being back home and could be a part of the support team for you. Did you have any kind of dueling narratives for yourself as you were grappling with this idea of taking some of your work on the road and being away from your kids, after having been with them for so many years, like all the years of their life?
Yeah, definitely. I try my hardest to fly in and out on the same day because I do not like to miss things for my kids. In February of 2022, my grandma passed away. And we also, like in January, I had been to a client and my son had a hockey game the very next day, and I was flying in and out on the same day. And when I got to Seattle to catch my flight home, there was fog and there was no way that they were going to take off. And that flight that I ended up missing because I decided to rent a car and drive through the night, through the fog in the middle of the winter, over Snoqualmie Pass in freezing weather.
Oh my gosh.
To make his hockey game. I am incredibly particular about not missing my kids' things as much as I possibly can, not letting my work interfere with that. Because as much as I love my work and as much as I feel like it's a calling in my life, I feel that I was gifted these children from God and that is my number one priority. And they will always be my number one priority. And I don't like to miss things because I have the ability to determine my schedule. And why would I schedule it to where I'm missing out on them? Like, this is part of why I work for myself, is to have the freedom of the schedule to not have to miss their things.
Yeah.
So I will do what I can do to get there.
Yeah. I mean, that's incredible. One of the questions I had posed for you was there a time where you had to make this choice? And I so appreciate the clarity in your priorities to really understand that there are options, right? That there are ways for you to make choices around still fulfilling your own personal goals and being there for your clients, but also still being there for your kids. And sometimes that feels overwhelming, right? It's like, how do I navigate all of these things? But when you get clear on what it is that you want to achieve, there are ways, right? There are options. So I do appreciate that. I think in my mind, it feels overwhelming to me because I'm like, do you sleep? How do you get it all done? What do your days look like?
That is a great question. So I was going to say that where your priority is your kids and you try really hard to not miss anything of theirs for client work and stuff like that means that it comes at sacrifice to you. You have sacrifices. You lose sleep. I literally landed in Seattle, Washington at 10 p.m. I was in a rental car by 11:15. I drove through the night, got home at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning because by the time I got out of Seattle and I was having to drive so slow because of ice, fog, all this stuff, it was through the night. I gave up my sleep. That's what I sacrificed in that moment. But I was there. My kids didn't feel like they were less than my client work or anything like that. And it does come at a sacrifice to my own personal comfort, which I'm willing to do. And moms are usually willing to do. But I love what I do and I love being a mom. And I don't ever want those two things to feel like such a tug that I have to give one or the other up. And so that usually looks like a sacrifice to myself, which I am okay with.
Yeah, very interesting. I think there's always that push and pull of we can't do everything at the same time. So at some point, something has to give. And at times, it's our own personal sacrifice of sleep or perhaps a fun weekend or something of the sort. So what does your, personal priorities look like in terms of a recharge? Like,
Mhm.
what do you give yourself to make sure that you have stuff to give to your kids? You have some
Yeah.
energy to give back to your clients. Like, how do you focus on you when you
Yeah.
have the time to do so?
So pretty much every day, I try to wake up in the morning and have a cup of coffee, and I spend, 30 minutes to an hour, depending on what time I get up, just being still and quiet. And I spend a lot of time with the Lord.
I
I
love that.
refuel with a good Bible study, a good reading, a good time in prayer. Being a believer, I feel like that is where my soul gets fed,
Yeah.
and I can't pour from an empty cup. And I believe that God is who fills me up and who brings my heart joy and peace and comfort and all of those things. And I believe that He calls me in these other areas, but He's never going to send me out into those areas unequipped. My duty and my job, my part in this is to spend the time with Him, to allow Him to equip me to go out. And if I'm not doing that, that's not God's failure, that's mine.
Yeah.
And so I really am very particular about my morning time. Just recently, I started working out. It's kind of been a habit that I've picked up. And I was trying to get up at 6 a.m. and work out and do this. And I noticed that I was just really not liking it. And I know that I've been really good at working out in the past, and I always get to a point where I enjoy it. And, 3 weeks in, and I still am just resenting it. And I realized that I was resenting it because it was coming at a sacrifice to that morning time. And
Mm.
I really noticed, oh, I didn't get in my time today. I didn't have that morning time. And a friend of mine was like, maybe you need to try a different time of day if you're not liking your workouts. And I was like, oh my gosh, it clicked. That was it. I don't want to give up my morning time and my quiet time and the time where I do get filled up and renewed every day. And so even when I travel, I take my Bible studies with me. I sit in the airport. I do it. It doesn't matter to me. I will show up to the airport a little bit earlier to just have that time to settle my heart and take a few deep breaths and get, in a conversation with God and ask Him where He wants to lead me that day and what He has for me that day.
That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. I really resonate strongly with that time in the morning. I just recently started doing something similar. I get up at 5:30. Well, my alarm goes off at 5:30. It does not mean I'm out of bed, but there's a little bit of quiet time before the house wakes up. And I journal. I sit probably for 30 to 45 minutes, and I sit internally with my own thoughts and my own feelings and physically what's giving me pause for the day and ask for guidance. And there is absolutely something to be said for sitting in stillness and seeing intentionally where your day should lead versus running around in the chaos. And everything feels just a little less challenging when you're leading with intention for your day. So I really appreciate that insight for you. And I always love to hear it because I don't always find that enough of us do that. And there's always some chaos running around. I don't want to be in chaos anymore.
No. And that's
really
the thing
work.
is, I think sometimes when you ask that question, what do you do for yourself? What do you do for yourself? People think that it has to be this like big thing. Like I get weekly facials and that's all great. And that's great. Or I work out every day. Sometimes it really is just, I give myself 30 minutes in the morning to just be still and be quiet. And as moms, our days are never still and quiet. And so I feel like it doesn't have to be this huge thing to recharge ourselves or this huge thing of self-care. It can just be simple and grounding and fulfilling. And then we can move on through our days.
Yeah. And I think that's the message, really. One of the future episodes I'm contemplating, I'm also doing some solo episodes, which is like my own personal musings.
Yeah.
And one of them is around self-care. And I started earlier this week doing, as I do most of my research, I start with just a quick Google search of what these terms are and these topics are, what they're generating. And a lot of it is pretty alarming in terms of what self-care is defined as. It's like things that calm you down in moments of stress. And I'm like, I don't want to get to that moment of stress. What can I do for myself before I get there to regulate myself, to ground myself so I don't have to get to a point where I have to take a bath just because I can't breathe right now
Yeah.
because I'm so overwhelmed. So I
Yeah.
do truly appreciate that approach. And I don't think enough of us are aware yet of the tools that we have to support ourselves daily in order to prevent us from getting to a place where we need something in the moment because we've gone 0 to 100. Especially as moms, I feel like when we're tested every single day with our kids and now our jobs and being needed and pulled in every which way direction, there has to be a way for us to support ourselves from the get-go. And if that's
Yeah.
grounding and calming ourselves, then we're setting ourselves up for success. So I love that. Are your kids of school age now? They're now
They
in
are.
school? Okay.
Yeah. My son is 8. My daughter is 5. We
Oh,
are a homeschool family. So
oh, I
I
want to talk
also
about this. I love this.
homeschool on top of working for myself and all these things. I do homeschool.
What does that look like? So what do your days look like?
Yeah. So typically I try to get up about 6 a.m. and I
Okay.
have my quiet time. I'm kind of with you. My alarm goes off at 5:45. Now, sometimes I get up at 6, sometimes it's 6:30. So by
Yes.
the time I get up and I kind of get my morning and my quiet time and I pick up the house or the kitchen or whatever as I'm kind of moving through my morning. And then I try to get my kids up around 8. My kids love to sleep, so they would sleep forever,
I love that.
which I get it. I'm very much like that too.
Have they always been like that? Or was that
Yes.
ah,
No, my kids have always been like that. I have friends that their babies like still weren't sleeping through the night at like a year. And I was like, girl, I slept through the night at 4 months. Like, no, we are sleeping family.
yeah. Okay. Taken after mama. There you
Yeah,
go.
they sleep good. So I wake them up and then I try to get school done in those first couple hours. It's hard because we live in an area with photography that in the winter we have a very short window of daylight hours. So in the winter it gets a little more complicated because I switch my session availability from like 10:30 to 1:30, so it's kind of smack dab in the middle of the day. But in the like where the light changes and stuff. So like right now we're on a schedule of wake up from like 8 to 10:30. We do homeschool. And then I go from there and either do meetings or shoots or whatever it might look like. And I'm back home by early afternoon to do dinner and the routine and all of that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. I am so impressed. I am in awe.
in the winter, it's also hard because both my kids play hockey. So
Mm,
we are just like going all the time in the winter. We just ebb and flow. Recently, somebody was like, "What's your general schedule?" And I was like, "So this, and then every other week this." And they were like, "Oh," but
yeah.
it's what works. It's what works. My husband works for himself, and I work for myself, and we just have to be flexible and also structured at the same time.
Yes. So when you are out with your clients during those certain hours that you've dedicated, is your husband then on for childcare? Is the expectation that he's flexible, or what does that support system look like? And were you guys always on the same page for that?
No. So before he started working for himself, I was obviously doing a lot more of family photography where it was more nights and weekends.
Yeah.
So that looked like having him home, or if it wasn't him, it was, my sister or my mom or somebody like that. Now it looks like my daughter goes to daycare 2 days a week. And if I have shoots, if nobody's like available, my son can sometimes go to work with dad because he owns his own construction business. So he can go to work with him, or
Okay.
he comes with me a lot. My clients would say they have seen my kids a lot. I'm a big proponent of bringing your kids to work if possible. They learn a lot. They learn how to be in professional settings, how to problem solve, how to be creative. They learn respect of other people's time. And I just think it's a very valuable thing to have them with me.
Yes. That's incredible. I think there's this worry as moms that if we are going to go into a client setting, and obviously depends on the type of work that we do, if we can bring our kids. But I know for me, like when I first started this project, I was like, okay, I got to do it right as she's napping because I wanted to make sure like she wasn't like in the background or whatever. But really, why not? I mean, every woman that I'm speaking to is a mom, so they get it, right? You get
Yeah.
it. For me, it's a little bit more challenging. She's in like the toddler phase where it's like,
Yeah.
I need whatever you have, mom, type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more challenging, but I do love that. There's something so refreshing about the lessons that they can learn from just seeing you interact
Yeah.
and fulfill your priorities.
Yeah. And it's very true. My daughter is 5. So she doesn't come nearly as much with me because she just is in that phase where it's a little bit harder. My son is 8 and he does earn money when he comes with us. So he's working with his dad today. He will earn money, but that means he has to do a job. And
Yeah.
so he is at work and he is doing things. And so dad pays a little bit better than mom. So he really likes to go with dad. But they do learn. And so, yeah, it's the same thing. Like I just recently had a shoot with people that I had never met before. And I was in this bind and I was like, I don't know like what I'm going to do with my daughter. We had a certain thing we had to be at. And I was just in this bind and it was either take her or figure out some crazy childcare situation. And
Yeah.
I felt this pressure because I didn't know them. That might not be the most acceptable thing. And the most crazy thing, and this goes back to finding the people that are your kind of people and your kind of clients. There was 3 of them. It was a team branding session. And one of them showed up with her 5-year-old son. And she was like, I have my son today. And I was like, you're so my people. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
I mean, I have curated my business really to try to draw in people that really wouldn't mind that or really do see things the way that I see. And I try to portray online and how I put it out there, what my values are and what things that I hold as high priorities, because the people that have those as well are going to be drawn to that. So I'm
Yes.
going to have clients that have to show up with their kids because that's just what the day looks like. And that's okay. And it just was so like reminding to me because I said, I never know with new clients. And they're like, yeah, well, they were so sweet. And they were like, if somebody doesn't like your kids, they're probably not the person for you. And I'm like, it's true. It's true. There are scenarios where we have to be professional and we have to bring that level of professionalism. But overall, I work for myself. I've curated a business that very much is kid friendly and very much I'm a homeschool mom. So I believe in teaching all the time. It was just such an eye opener to me of like, these are the kind of people that, you put yourself out there to draw in. And
Yeah.
I think that's the importance with like personal branding photography as well, is like to really find those people that align with your values and align with your priorities so that they do get it. And if you
Yes.
had a kid that was sick or something, it wasn't this hurt, it was like understanding and we just get it.
Yeah.
And there's lots of different things that you can connect on, but that's the point of what I do is like putting that out there so that the clients that you really want to reach and gain are the right kind.
Yeah. Have you had an experience where someone wanted to work with you from a personal branding perspective and you felt that perhaps they didn't have clarity or alignment on
Yeah.
those values? How do you
Yes.
support them through that? Is that something that you propose, they come back to you and they get clarity, or do you help them kind of gain some insight into their values and how to portray that?
Yeah, I have absolutely had those scenarios. And typically, what ends up happening is us realizing that although we're both great people, we're not a good fit for what we're looking for. And those are hard conversations to have
Yeah.
because it usually looks like, right now is not the time to work together. And that's okay. And I learn with each one of those conversations, which there's only been 2 or 3 that's happened
Yeah.
with, but I learn with each one of those that I want to put more of who I am authentically and genuinely out there, that I don't want to hold back, my priorities and my values and the things that I see as important because it tends to draw in this false sense of expectation where I am very much a family oriented type of person and some of the values that I hold are maybe not what society considers the most professional. I have a really hard time with professional and what is deemed professional because I think that somewhere along the way, some man determined it to be professional.
It's
Let's be
quite
honest.
archaic. Quite
Yes.
archaic. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that we can, especially as our own business owners, can set our standards of professionalism and in what we bring into our workplace is acceptable and things like that. So usually that looks like we're just not a good fit and that's okay. And I refer them out to somebody that I think would be a really good fit for them because we all operate differently.
Yeah.
So it's tough, but it has happened. And I think they genuinely are happier to
Yeah.
move on. And I'm happier in my business because, I mean, another reason I work for myself is to remain happy, is to not have to do something because somebody else says I have to do it.
Yes.
And you have the freedom of that. Being your own boss, you kind of get to make that decision for yourself.
Yeah. It's quite freeing when you can get to a point where you can recommend not working together and not have this pressure of, oh, but this person's willing to pay me. Do I need this? There's a lot of this pressure to generate and produce. But when you can get to a point where you can say, my priorities are X, they don't align, it is so freeing to be able to do that.
Very powerful. Yes.
I congratulate you for that. That is a tough place to get to for a lot of us.
Yeah.
And it just takes time.
I am a Enneagram 3. I don't know if you know much about the Enneagram, but I'm an Enneagram 3. And so there's a part of me with a wing 2. There's a part of me that just wants to please and like has to have this like perfect. And it's really taken a lot of coaching from Karina, a lot of coaching to kind of overcome that and really see that there is value in other things besides just the dollars. And that's hard. And it's really hard when you're first starting out and you're just like, it's a client that's willing to pay me. And it's not, because what I did when I was doing that was I dug myself into this hole of unhappiness and I wasn't being filled by my work because it was just to like make this money that I didn't even feel good about making. It didn't feel like me. It didn't feel like I was producing from this place of what could Miranda, like, what do you have to offer? And, how can you serve these people? It just came with, you can do this task for this amount of money. And that's all all the people cared about. Yeah. And I just really, that was a massive shift in why I think I became so passionate about personal branding photography. And it's something that I help, I guess, coach my clients in a way of like, not just trying to bring in everybody, we're trying to bring in the right people.
Yes. Yes. I mean, there's so much pressure, I think, out there to when you're starting your business, like say you have clients and you are successful and the bills are getting paid and it looks as it should to take on some of that. So kudos to you to say, just doesn't work for me, just doesn't work for me. So I think we're going to wrap it up. I have one more question for you. Yeah. You mentioned to me that you enjoy a good playlist or two. What is on your playlist right now? Like your favorite playlist? What does that look like?
Oh my gosh. It ranges from worship music to 90s country to like rap to, everything under the sun.
I love it.
It's so funny because my husband's like, what do you want to listen to while we work out? And I'm like, literally everything. I want like Watermelon Crawl from the 90s. I want like, Holy Spirit from 2012. I want like all the things. I want all the things. I would say right now I'm really in this like 90s country jam.
Awesome.
I feel like it's like, I remember days of like cleaning with my mom on the Saturday and that's what was playing. And, it just gives me so much like inspiration to get things done. And it just kind of is nostalgic. So it takes me back a little bit. So right now I'm on that 90s country kick for sure.
I love it. Does your husband agree with your music choices or would he prefer something else?
When he works out, he is like hardcore, like metal rap, like all this stuff. And I'm like,
high energy.
I don't know about that. Most of the time he does. Like in the house, yes, we pretty much agree on what we're listening to. Workouts are where the tension is.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. That's fair. All right. Well, let's wrap it up. Miranda, thank you so much. I so appreciate your vulnerability and willing to share your story with us. And I'm excited to see what you do in the future. I would love to get links from you about your exhibition, about your postpartum work. I think that would be extremely impactful. And I'd love to link that with this episode. So if women feel called to, they can take a look and kind of find some comfort in that and your experience within that. So that's it. We're going to wrap it up. If you listening are interested in learning more about Miranda and her personal branding photography, check out our show notes or our website at projectmompodcast.com. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you liked what you heard, please help us out and leave a review wherever you listen, and consider sharing with your friends. If you're interested in learning a bit more about the project or want to share your story, please visit our website linked in our show notes below.